Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy. If this is your first time coming across my channel, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. For today's tutorial, we're going to be making this beautiful bow top, which can be worn in different ways. I styled it this way at first, and then the second styling would be wrapped around my neck. And then the last styling would also be wearing it as an off shoulder. So if this seems like something you're interested in, do not forget to like, share, and please do watch to the end of the video. And let's get started with today's tutorial. So to draft out the pattern, I went ahead to rule out a straight line. I went out by about 1 inch. So this is going to be my starting point. From this starting point, I'm going to start marking my points, which is my bust point at 10.5, my underbust at 13, and my waist at 16.5. I'll go ahead and replace the lines again, just to get a straight line. Once I did so, I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect the lines. Then from my starting line, I'll go ahead and take my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which gave me 7.5. I'll also go ahead and mark my neck width, which is 3. I'll then go to my shoulder measurement and go down by 1 inch. I'll connect it to the neck width to form my shoulder slope. The next thing now is to get my armhole. I'll divide my bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. It gave me 7.5. I'll then also mark my shoulder measurement on that line to get a straight line. So this is going to stand as my chest line. I'll just go ahead and rule out the straight line. Now to get my armhole curve, I'm going to go ahead and divide what I have in between my shoulder and my chest line into 2. And then I'm going to mark the point and go out by 0.5. Then on my chest line, I'm going to go ahead and mark my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 9. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect the 3 points to form my armhole. So this is my armhole. The next thing now is to label. This is my chest line, my bust line, my underbust, and my waist. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide my nipple to nipple measurement and place it on my bust line, my underbust line, and my waistline. I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect the points. Now to form my dot legs, I'm going to be making use of 2 inches. I'm going to mark 1 inch on both sides. So I'll go ahead and mark my 1 inch on both sides. Then on my bust point, I'm going to go down by 1 inch to form my dot. I'll go ahead and rule out a straight line to reach onto the underbust. Then from that point, I'm going to go ahead and connect my curve ruler to form the dots from the 1 inch that I marked. I'm just making sure the lines are not too pointy. The next thing now is just to get where I want my top to start from. So I'm going to go down by 7 inches. This is where I want my top to start from because I don't want it to be very revealing. I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect the point. The next thing now is to take the measurements that I have in between my shoulder and divide it by 2. I'll mark the point, then I'll use my ruler to connect from the shoulder line down to the bust point. For the bust tightening, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 0.5 on the side going towards the center front and 0.75 going towards the side front. I'll go ahead and use my curve ruler to connect the points to the dot legs. The next thing now is to get how deep I want the sweetheart neckline to be. I just went ahead to mark about 1 inch down from my chest line, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my curve ruler to connect this to form my sweetheart neckline. Now that we are done forming the bustier, I'm just going to go ahead and impute my body measurement. On my underbust, I'm just going to go ahead and divide my underbust divided by 4 plus the 2 inches dot that we took, my waist measurement divided by 4 plus the 2 inches that we took. And then on the chest line, I'm going to go ahead and replace the dot that we have there on the armhole line. I'll also go ahead and take my curved ruler and use it to form the neckline on the other side. I'm going to make sure that this neckline is going into the armhole that we have. So this is how it looks. Then I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect my points. I'll now label my pattern pieces. This is my center front and this is my side front. Now I'll be working with the basque effect that we have on the top. I'm going to go down from my waist by 5 inches. If you want this part to be longer, you can go down by 6 or 7 inches, but I think the 5 is very fine for me. So I'll just roll out a straight line. The next thing now is to go ahead and also impute my dot on the last line to form the basque. I'll just go ahead and roll out the straight line to form the dot legs. Now to form my basque effect, I'm just going to go ahead and close up the dot. I'm just going to go ahead and place the side front on top of the dot legs, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my paper tape to hold it down. I'll then use my ruler to connect from where my waist stopped down to the edge of the pattern paper. So this is how my basque effect looks. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and this is what I have. Now I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I rule out the lines properly. So this is what I have. The next thing now is to go ahead and add my stitching allowance on the side. I'm just going to go ahead and add stitching allowance of 1.5 on all the points. So this is all we have for this pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. And for today's tutorial, I'm only going to be making use of this front pattern to cut out the back as well. So this is what I have after cutting. For my fabric, I'm making use of this pink Duchess, and I'm making use of this black 4-way stretch material. And then I'm going to be ironing in my S-Day on my pink material. For my center front, I went ahead to place my fabric on fold, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down. Right after pinning, I'm just going to go ahead and add 1/2 inch all over the sides that I'm going to use to stitch down, and I'm also going to add 1/2 inch on top of my pattern as well. This is to join the main piece to the lining piece. I'm also going to be making use of the same fabric as my lining as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out 2 pieces for the center front. Then for the side front, I went ahead to add about 1/2 inch on top, on the side, and on the basque effect. I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my piece, and I'm also going to cut out the lining piece as well. So this is what I have after cutting out the front piece. The next thing is to unpin this pattern, because I'm going to go ahead and fold the basque effect in to cut out the back. So I'm going to go ahead and unpin the center front as well. I'll fold it in on the waistline, and then I'll go ahead and join them together like this. I went ahead to fold my fabric into 2. I'm just going to place them on each other like this. So the only difference from the front is that I'm going to add a zipper on the side for the back, and the back doesn't have a basque effect. So once I got that line that I'm going to be using as my zipper allowance, I'm just going to go ahead and place my pattern pieces on each other, and I'll also go ahead and pin it down. I'll then place my side front on top as so. I'll go ahead and use my pins to hold it down in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and trace out the points that I have on the pattern paper. Then I'll add 0.5 inch on the bottom of my pattern. I then went ahead to check if my body measurements were correct. Once I saw that it was fine, I'm just going to go ahead and continue tracing the side of the pattern paper to my material. You want to also go ahead and take out about 0.75 from your waist on the zipper side, just to avoid the zipper bulge, because I forgot to do that to mine. So you can also take note of that and take out the 0.5 on your waist, and then you can cut out your material. So for my bag, I'm going to be cutting out another piece which is also going to stand as my lining, since I'm using the same material for my main piece and my lining. After cutting out, I'll just go ahead and notch my zipper areas. So this is what I have for my back piece, and I'm just going to go ahead and work on the front piece first. I'm just going to go ahead and separate the front pieces and the lining pieces, and I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing to the center front. The next thing now is to place my fabric the right sides on each other, and I'll go ahead and pin it down on the areas, and I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other piece. So this is what I have after pinning down. I'm going to go ahead and also place my back side and pin it down. After pinning all the pieces together, I'll just go ahead to my sewing machine and stitch by 1/2 inch. And this is what I have after stitching. I'm going to go ahead and press my seam flat, and we're going to start working with the straps. So for my straps, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out a long piece, which is about 1.5 inch by 22. The next thing is to go ahead and stitch it by 1/2 inch. So this is what I have after flipping it over. To get the placement of the straps, I'm just going to go from my center front and mark about 6.5. I'll just mark the point right there. I'll do the same thing for this other side. I'll mark about 6.5. So this is where my straps will be placed. I'll just go ahead and use my pins to hold down the straps. I'll just pin it down. I'll do the same thing for the other strap, and I'll go ahead and stitch them down. After stitching the straps, I'm just going to go ahead and bring my lining piece. I'll place it on top of the main piece, and I'll go ahead to stitch by 1/2 inch on all the edges. I'm going to stitch all around the neckline. I'll stitch all over, but on the side that I'm going to use for the zipper, I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch open to flip it over. So this is my piece after flipping it over. So this is the space where I used to flip out the fabric. I'm just going to stitch it down. The next thing now is to start working on the bow. And for the bow, I'm just going to go ahead and place my fabric and fold it into 2. I'm just going to go ahead and take the width of my material. I want the bow to be about 15, but I'm going to be cutting out 16 inch for the stitching allowance. Then for the depth of the bow, I want it to be about 8 inches, but I'm going to be cutting out 9 inches. And the extra 1 inch is for the stitching allowance. So I'm just going to mark my 9 inches, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and iron in my peplum stay. This is called a peplum stay because it's so thick. It's one of the heaviest interfacing that I found. So this is what I have after cutting it out and ironing. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch by 1/2 inch all over, but I'm going to make sure that I leave this edge open to flip it over. So this is what I have. To close up this edge, I'm just going to go ahead and fold in my fabric by 1/2 inch. I'll take it to my machine and stitch all over the edges. So this is what I have. Now to form the bow, I'm just going to go ahead and squish it in like this. For the fabric that I'm going to use to cover up the edges, I went ahead to cut out this raw piece. I'll flip it in and out after stitching, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to go ahead and form my bow. So I'm just going to fold it in this way. I'm going to use this piece to cover up the edges of the bow. I'll go ahead and stitch and I'll come back and show you. So after stitching, I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the raw edges. I'll then go ahead to flip it from the wrong side to the right side. And once I was done with that, this is what I have. Now I'm going to bring in my top and I'm going to go ahead and stitch my bow to it. So I'm going to get the middle point of my top. Then I'll go ahead and place my bow in between. After placing it in, I'm going to go ahead and stitch it. I'm going to use my hand to stitch it to the fabric. I'm just going to go ahead and use my pins to hold the points where I'll be stitching down. So I'm going to stitch it on the middle and on the edges. So this is what I have after end stitching. Now the next thing is to go ahead and insert my zipper, and that will be all for today's tutorial. I hope today's tutorial was very helpful. If so, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. If there's anything that you do not understand, please do not hesitate to leave a comment below. I'll be so glad to assist you with all your questions. Thank you so much for watching till this moment. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe and share with your loved ones, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.